Yo, yo, what up, what up?
That's not yours. Do you know what it took your daddy to earn this, eh?
It's not mine yet. You'll see.
You'll never find one of these death traps. So, you're that ace my bloke's hard, eh?
Best pilot money can buy.
Pilot? That word used to mean something.
Yeah. I get the stories. Lost all systems initiated. Welcome back, pilot.
Kyrie, what are you doing?
What, Dad? Something's jamming the...
Kyrie.
We've all heard the stories. I've lived them. And I'll tell you this, girl. Flying doesn't make you a pilot. What matters is what you can do with
Your life is on the line. Bulldog actually. On station. Eagle 4, start
Lost all systems transferred.
arrogance. That's the problem with most pilots, eh? Makes you blind and gets the ones closest to you dead. I've outlived the Viper.
Viper on station.
I know I failed him. We left. Worst part was not knowing why. Maybe he left because of me. But he died because of you.
He knew what he was fighting for. Do you? All this time you've done nothing but try to get to me. Wondering if Daddy loved you. Wasting your life so you can avenge his. Vengeance is all you're good for, girl. Go ahead and take it. But you pull that trigger, your story ends. Your father never wanted you to live for him. He wanted your legacy to be better. So, little viper, are you a pilot? Or just the sobbing daughter of one?
My call sign is Valkyrie, and you'll live to remember it.
Valkyrie.
A city with no end. The whole planet's a gilded cage. And the canaries screaming. Filthy or filthy rich. Everyone here's a criminal. And I got them all. All but one. Now look at me. Guarding scum. Shoveling deep-fried pork with plum sauce. I've outlived my purpose. Like this guy.
Oh, pardon me. Can I be of help?
We gotta face facts, pal. Not everyone makes it 12 rounds.
It's my first day on the job.
You miss, there's no second shot.
I'll give you can.
Security.
Drop it.
Oh no! Security.
A modified 50 cal Rampart. Made for murder.
Exciting.
This a game to you, is it?
This is my job.
A professional? Well, so am I.
Sent you. I want a name.
I want a name too. What is it?
I'm asking the questions, Coat Rack. And you're talking. Whatever it takes.
You're fired! Oh! You're fired!
I'm fired.
Stop! Humber Labs. Knox. I knew it. The bastard's still alive. No, go back. What else do you see?
5% chance.
Stop!
Pathfinder,
Pathfinder.
we've made you for a great purpose.
Excuse me, friend. I think I'm about to discover my purpose.
Hey! Mob's not taking taken my witness. I need him.
You need me? Piss off, Scablander. Bam!
You can wait.
Security guards made off with the Marvin. Stop them.
I need what's inside you.
Friendship?
What?
No, just you and me, friend.
You're not my friend. Just show me the data you have on Knox.
I know.
No, you idiot. There's no time for this.
We made it for a great purpose.
Uh-oh, friend. Dara, ex-Lieutenant Maldera. Surrender and we'll help you find Knox. You can't escape.
Don't worry, I used to be a pilot. It's your lucky day, friend. Luckily, lightning never strikes the same.
Great specters.
You don't know what that Marvin is, Maldera. Just hand it over, and Knox is yours. You have my word.
But we have each other. Just you and me, friend.
Sorry, Mark. You can't know what it's like to finally find the thing that gives your life meaning.
Oh, no! Piss off, Scablander.
Finally. Say goodnight.
Just you and me, friend.
We did it. Hey. You alright? The Knox files. No!
We're almost here. Marvin, we need you. Your existence is proof that the Outlands can survive. People must be told about it. You are our pathfinder. We've made you for a great purpose.
Not everyone makes it 12 rounds. You miss, there's no second shot. Or so I thought. Thanks, friend. But it turns out that some of us are made for a great purpose.
machines contained this land for them. That power seduced them, made them weaker. Let their death be a warning, child. Come. That will be your flight test. Trust your instincts, young one. All machine fail. But the old ways preserve our Falai people.
Uncle Arthur.
You will return as one of us. Or return not at all.
Ruth Hunter. El Slatra. My offering to the All-Father. The Rigger Jotun that plagued our people. I found its lair. Bless me, Uncle.
Have you chosen exile?
I have brought down a creature that none among us has ever slaughtered.
You traded the lesson of the hunt for a quick kill with a trigger. You betrayed the old ways. Watch your tongue, child.
You are afraid of a power you do not understand.
That power enslaved us. You reject the very wisdom that kept us alive. You reject us.
I have spent 10 winters proving myself to you.
It is not my respect you must earn, young one. Nay, nay. I lived to see you pass the test. It was not the gun that protected them. It was you. Perhaps there is more to the old ways than the weapon we chose. And beast Nana Slatra. You will be the first. Bloodhunter. The old father guides you now.
Come now to Valhalla End.
Purging Terminal B. What the? Okay. Go, go, go!
him up.
There's someone in my head.
Of course there is. You're crazy. A few extra CCs, the problem solves itself.
What's the matter with you? You didn't even try. You're better than this. Get up.
Real.
Let's go.
I can't leave. No, they'll kill me. No one ever makes it out.
I did.
So the IMC's still here in your world. Wait, you're me? How is that possible?
All units, code 5. Lock down on all
Hey,
levels.
Sim, this place burrows for miles with only one way out. So, which way is it? Who was that? Trust just your eyes, and you'll lose. Don't worry. You just need time. Behind you.
61137! Hold! Another that's an order! Please!
That was your chance. And you missed it. No. This isn't me. The sooner you accept who you really are, the better. Why are you helping me? Don't you get it? We can make them feel every bit of what they did to us. I'm not looking for revenge. I want to know who I am. Too bad. Well, maybe one day you'll get what you're looking for.
So it is true. Oh, this is wild.
We gotta go.
Look at you. Look at you.
Don't do it!
Fireworks! Are you insane? Asset containment! Gotcha.
What about the other one?
She's expendable, but don't lose that weapon.
We won't make it. No. We won't. Go. It's me they want. I can't make it. I'm not like you. I had to leave my world to find what I was looking for. Now, it's your turn. You're better than this. Your fate was just your honest bit of what they did to us. Watch out! Behind you! Go.
dear, I'll tell you the story but one last time. Once upon a time, a kingdom was lost, and they needed a hero to save it. Someone brave and true to her word. When this hero said she'd save us all, you knew she'd find a way to do it. But it wasn't without sacrifice. For the hero had someone very special in her life. Someone she loved more than anything. And all she wanted was a kingdom safe for him. But just when it felt like the world was against her, and her sacrifices were all for naught, hope emerged. And there was just one more thing to do.
People are not asking the right questions. They're not asking the right questions because they kind of think they already know the answers.
Technology is being used that we would never believe was possible.
Beginning in 1954, gravity control was mastered.
Nazi Germany, they were developing flying saucer technology.
The Joe Rogan experience.
But drugs are fucked up in general, man. Like, I just want to say rest in peace to fucking DMX.
That's a sad one.
Rest in motherfucking paradise, man.
Did you see the video when they were getting his body out of the hospital?
Nah.
It's pretty, pretty amazing. The fans outside were playing his music while they're driving the car with his body out of the hospital. I believe it was in White Plains. It's wild.
That's crazy.
Just rabid, filling the streets.
I wish I was able to tell him this story I'm about to tell you, because this is fucking real deal, and it's like, he means so much to my family, it's crazy. It sounds nuts. Not only did I grow up on fucking DMX, I love DMX, but my wife was in fucking labor for 18 fucking hours, and she had the doula there. I told you they're on some spiritual shit. A motherfucking Peruvian flute playing for 17 fucking hours straight. The Peruvian flute music. I wanna, the one
with it sound like?
They came in my 6th grade class and we made a fucking flute. 17 hours in the Andes, the ones that, bro. She starts freaking out. I'm like, yo, listen, we have an hour left, or we're gonna have to do a C-section or whatever, and no fucking chance. So, turn the fucking Peruvian flute music off, and I put fucking DMX on. Stop, drop. That motherfucker jumped out of her. I swear on everything, it's on camera. It's on film. As soon as the Peruvian flute music stopped, DMX came on, he fucking heard the dog, and he came out, he just jumped out.
It's amazing.
It's just, it hurts my fucking heart that I was never able to tell him that.
Oh, man.
Like, man, it's like the the doctor was going nuts. He was because everyone was just fucking sick of that shit. I wanted to jump out,
right?
I wanted to jump out of the window from the music. I was laid out on the floor, farting. Yeah, I was, because I had hospital chips.
Oh no, hospital chips.
But
that's
they shut down Flushing Hospital for us. Nice little area. It was beautiful.
And so it just changed the vibe of the room.
Man, he fucking popped right out on everything. Like, man, it's on camera. I can't make it up. Nah, that would have been a good one. But he came out on the hit, stop, drop, shut up down, open up shop. Whoop.
He had some fucking jams. He had some fucking jams.
Nothing but heat.
And what a voice.
It's the man.
What a voice he had.
It's the dog.
Fucking drugs, man.
It's fucked up.
It's taken up. You think about all the great artists that have lost their lives because of drugs. I mean, it's astonishing. And you go over it, all the musicians, so many musicians.
The artists are touched, man. They're the ones that are the most vulnerable to drugs. They're touched. There's a lot of pressures and lots of
Yeah.
You pretty much put it on yourself when you become, because some people don't know how to handle it. You know, I've always been told that I'm good at it. Like, I'm good at being who I am because I'm me.
Yeah.
I don't fucking get nervous up there. I don't overthink it. I'm just, you know what I mean?
You got a good vibe.
I'm just vibed out. I'm not worried about all these things everyone I like. Putting a fucking chin on my neck doesn't excite me. Putting fucking fancy cars don't excite me. I like having the things I like, but I'm here. I'm with everybody. I'm down here with everybody.
Being you.
I'm fucking happy being who I am, man. It's just like the most happy place I am.
It's very complicated for people also because a lot of people are judging you, and so you get confused as to who you are. That's what happens with a lot of famous folks, a lot of entertainers. You get so many voices. So if you're a person like DMX, you literally have millions of people talking about you, good and bad, and in both ways. And oh, he's terrible. He's the shit. He's a god. He's a bum. He's a loser. He's my favorite.
It's confusing.
And you just, if you get you let these people influence who you are as a person. If you let that in, if you take that in, and then you think about the pressures of fame and maintaining fame. And one of the things about the rap world in particular, at least until recently, is that like it was a very short-lived fame. And there was something about guys when they got to a certain age where nobody wanted to hear from them anymore.
Right.
There was a lot of them like that. Catch new episodes of the Joe Rogan Experience for free, only on Spotify. Watch back catalog JRE videos on Spotify, including clips. Easily, seamlessly switch between video and
You think of DraftKings, you think sports, but there's so much more. DraftKings use their top-of-the-line technology to create a
What it do?
I'll tell you what, spiders, they're always ready, aren't they? Spiders, always ready for action. A spider is always ready, like that. Completely ready, all the time. I mean, some animals are sometimes ready. You scare a cat, and go, ooh, like that, okay? Then it goes back to chill. They're most of the time, they're just on their side, aren't they, cats? Cats are just chill out, like that, head down, all four limbs stretched out in one direction. You will never see a spider like that. You'll never see a spider just lying on the floor with his head down like that, and all 8 legs just out like that. What the fuck? They're always ready, like that. And they're always ready in every direction, like the fucking Matrix. They don't have to go, what was that? They don't have to do it. They've got fucking 10 eyes and 8 legs, over the top. They're even ready when you don't think they're ready. You can see an empty web. You go, that spider's not ready. No, touch the web. What? Touch the web. And it's there. I fucking hate them. 37,000 different species of spider. 37,000 different species of spider. I mean, millions and billions of individual in each species, okay? And that's just one class, arachnid, of one phylum, Arthropoda, which there are many. There could be 5 million species of animal on the Earth. Best guess, right? Minimum, scientists say. There's so many we can't, but 5 million. And that's 1% of all animal species that have ever existed. 99% of all animal species that ever existed are extinct. And that remaining 1% is 5 million strong. Take one of those species, termites. If you were to weigh every termite alive now, it would be 10 times the tonnage of every human being on Earth. And it's statistics like that that make me think that this book isn't totally accurate. the Book of Noah, the children's edition. I got this as a prize at Sunday school. I used to go every week. I believed in all this till I was about 8. This is when I was 4.
Same here. Around 7 or 8 years old, I was done. I'm like, all right, this shit don't make no sense, bro. Yeah, around 7 or 8 years old, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. He did what? How? Well, nobody else can do that. Oh, 'cause he was special. But how? Well, how come they just don't come back now? Well, how come he just don't talk to us instead of like making us pray or whatever? But how and why not? And right at that age, it was just like, I can't believe this shit.
This Sunday school presented to Ricky Gervais, R-I-double-K-I, like a fucking mongoose, for regular attendance, not even for doing anything good, just for turning up. Oh, he's always here, give him some, he'll be back. Let's have a look at the evidence. Long, long ago, when God first made the earth, I'll let both those points slip. We haven't got time. Okay. Long, long ago, I should just say, is 5,000 years, according to the Bible. According to the Old Testament, the Earth is no older than 5,000 years, okay? Which puts us around the time of the agricultural revolution. It's actually 4.6 billion years old. Let's pop that in. 4.6 billion years ago, when God first made the Earth and sky. All right, don't big it up. I mean, it comes as a package, really, doesn't it? The sky was never an optional extra. It could be, built your planet. I can't breathe. Would you like an atmosphere? Of course I fucking would. So, everything was peaceful. Everything beautiful. God made human beings too. And he wanted them to be good, like himself. Arrogant, isn't it? But very soon they wanted their own way. They would not listen to God. They became wicked and did wicked things. Look at them doing wicked things there. Look at that. You can't get more wicked than that. Really. Oh, fuck off, wicked. Really. Fuck off, wicked.
Yeah.
God looking on. Yeah, carry on. See what happens. See what happens.
Yeah.
Up there, running off with a big bag of money. Don't put it in a bank, you cunt. God looked at them and said to himself, they are so wicked, I will have to wipe them off the face of the earth.
What?
Really? That's your only choice, is it? That's you. You'll have to. Straight to genocide. No one verbal and 2 written warnings. No, just straight to the annihilation of the entire human race because a fatty yellow trouser picked someone's nose. That's your solution, is it? I mean, anger management, chill the fuck out. I read this book to Carl Pilkington, right? Who, yeah, he is an absolute, yes, he is yeah. Head like a fucking orange, I know. But I got to this bit and I said, they are so wicked, I will have to wipe them the face of the earth. And Carl goes, it sounds gay.
Hey man, you just sitting here watching me paint some weed, bro? That's crazy. That's crazy, bro. Babe, what you doing? I'm watching the homie paint some weed. You what? You mean smoke some weed? No. He painting some weed. He painting weed? Yeah. Nigga, and they painting some weed. Carry on, gentlemen. Carry on.
I went, what do you mean? He went, some gays are a bit like that. He thought God was having a hissy fit. Like God's going, look what they've done. No, they're treating me like a cunt. I'm going to treat them like a cunt. I said, Carl, God is not gay. Right? Read the Bible. He hates them.
Damn. God ain't gay. He hates queers. He says stone them to death. That's what he actually says. And don't suffer a witch to live either, you know? Kill them bitches too. Burn them. Burn them at the stake. All faggots and witches, especially faggot witches.
The world has a way of changing. And we change too.
Another, yo, I swear to God, I swear to God, that was a Fast and 12 movies?
So talking about the vaccine, this is important because I think this is when people say, why do you talk so much about big tech censorship or the LGBTQ AIP? I think these are the two biggest issues of our time because not being able to actually have discussions, banning not just offensive jokes, but banning opinions because they're impermissible, which is where we are. I think if that goes, I think the rest of the country goes. And I also think that if we break down the barriers of men and women, if we just say that men and women are fundamentally interchangeable and a child doesn't need a father and a mother, which is the path we're going down, I think that we cease to be as a civilization. I think it's more important than corporate taxes. So that irritates me too, though I won't commit aggravated assault. Aggravated assault is just assault when you're having a bad day.
Really?
Yeah, it seems like it doesn't really need that there as a header. So YouTube, if you don't remember this, before we go into the vaccine scenario, they censored a Governor DeSantis roundtable with doctors from Harvard, Stanford, Oxford, and they got rid of it for COVID misinformation. And I think we have a clip that we're allowed to show from it.
Hopefully.
Yes. Okay, so this was removed from a sitting governor and actual scientists. So, yeah, maybe we need to talk over it.
We wouldn't do that.
But now we're at the point where YouTube deleted a video of a roundtable with Governor DeSantis. And he had with medical professionals from Harvard, Oxford, and Stanford. But according to YouTube, they don't follow the science. So the guy in question was Dr. Martin Kulderoff of Harvard. And what YouTube claimed, and there's an article from NBC, that it was COVID misinformation, okay? Two specific instances in the video. One is where he was talking about COVID and comparing it to the flu for children in mortality rates. Not us, because then was asked about the efficacy of masks, specifically in schools and whether children should wear masks.
Right.
And he said that he didn't think so. I didn't realize I was talking to a clip of myself in the past.
Yeah.
I think we had the clip there. We had to cut it out.
Oh, we had to cut it out? Thanks, YouTube. Do you feel free? Do you guys feel free? Seriously. Yeah. The fact that that has been removed. So it was Dr. Dan Erickson, Artem Masihi. They were also banned last year for presenting scientific evidence as it related to COVID. You might have forgotten this. Our 15 days to flatten the curve anniversary. Right. That was removed for quoting the CDC, which went against the World Health Organization. Every now and then, on a day or two, they verged. They didn't have their meetings. Then yesterday, and this is where we are now, Johnson & Johnson halted the vaccination. Well, actually, the FDA and the CDC paused the vaccinations from Johnson & Johnson due to some serious medical side effects. The ones that we know of right now are blood clots that aren't normal blood clots. I think this is Anthony Fauci, right, describing the pause.
King Fauci.
King Fauci, yes, King Fauci. Here we go.
A couple of issues come up of the importance of calling this pause, because people say, what does a pause mean?
That's not the question people are asking you.
No, at all. Further investigate these cases to try and understand.
It's why are these people dying?
Someone comes in with this really rather rare
not to be confused with the select button.
Thrombocytopenia, where you get thrombosis. When you have thromboses, the most common way to treat that is with heparin. That would be a mistake in this situation because it could be dangerous and make the situation much worse. So there's a clinically relevant reason why you want to make this known to people.
Okay, so here there are 6 cases right now of women aged 18 to 48. The symptoms are saying occurred 16 to 13 days after vaccination, and then there was
6 to 13.
6 to 13.
At least 30 years isn't a crazy gap.
But think of it, I could be removed for that because I said 16. YouTube like, oh no, it's 6 to 13. Misinformation. I was playing it more conservatively. You communist oligarchs. So, and then a woman died. Okay, a woman died. She was 45 years old. Died 12 days after receiving it. Okay. So if there were only 6 women, why would they stop the vaccination completely? And that's what they're trying to tell you is, well, it was only 6. This is why we're stopping. Now, here's the thing. The 6, if you watch the press conference, and I highly recommend you watch specifically the phone call that I believe was with the FDA, not the CDC, that took place yesterday morning before Fauci went doing damage control.
Yeah.
I watched it in its entirety. The answers to the questions were more disturbing because they were begetting more questions. So they were saying, well, we know it's these 6 because they had 2 forms of complications, the blood clot and that other form of cerebral thrombosis, basically kind of variations on blood clots. And they're saying, so they had these 2 conditions which are very rare, and so we knew that that was from the vaccine. And by the way, the medication that a doctor might give for a blood clot could kill them. So that's why we're saying this now. Okay.
Oh, well.
Yo, so who do you know who's been vaccinated with the J&J vaccine? This is what I've been saying, yo. I'm not gonna lie, yo. I'm not gonna lie. Last January, like when I found out about, oh no, January before last? Wait a minute. COVID-19, then it ran in 2020. Okay, yeah, so last January, I was like, oh shit, this is some crazy shit, man. This shit about to kill everybody. Boy, them Chinese motherfuckers and fucked up. You know, I was right there with it. And then you just gotta listen more, and then more people start saying shit, and it's like, well, might not be as bad as everybody said it is, and this and that. And so, I don't know, but I've never taken a flu shot, not in my adult life. I know when I was kids, you know, of course, you got to go get vaccinated for school, and I think my grandma used to take us to get flu shots. I don't know, man. But like in my adult life, I didn't let my son get mandatory immunizations and never got flu shots and all that shit. So when they talking about, oh, we got a vaccine for COVID, I already knew, like, I'm not taking that shit. I just know I'm not. I already know I'm not taking the shit. But now they already talking about somebody that died from this shit. They gotta pull one of the variations from the market. A variation that was the Johnson & Johnson was like the 1 dose treatment. It said it probably wouldn't protect you as much, and it definitely wouldn't make you immune to it. And it's just like, why the fuck are you taking this shit again? Right. No one? That's what's up. Cause I know, Cash. I know a couple people who got the Moderna Joan, and then even my job, yo. Because once again, I work for a community-oriented nonprofit organization, and like yesterday, we were giving out like the annual flu shots, and I think we did have some COVID vaccines for free. A couple weeks ago. And once again, man, I ain't taking that shit, man. As soon as I seen it, the girls sitting in our conference room yesterday seemed like some people I ain't never seen in there, but they had on like the little like ambulance, like MT or whatever this shit is. Had on like those uniforms. I looked outside and seen a little sign out there, free vaccines. I was like, oh yeah, they ain't about to shoot them people up with that shit, bro. You know, save my dose for somebody who really needs it. Because I definitely pass on that shit. Moderna, Pfizer, J&J, and 2 other off-brand name motherfuckers. I seen one of these little TikTok dudes make a Avengers parody where instead of collecting all 5 gems or whatever the fuck that villain was trying to collect, like this motherfucker was going out trying to get all the vaccines from all the different companies. He's like, now that I've received all 5 vaccinations, he became like COVID man or some shit. I was like, what the fuck?
Why would they pause the vaccine? And are they even looking at other people who maybe just had one blood clot, who maybe just had one serious symptom, and not including those?
Yeah. That seemed a little odd for 6 people. I think one of these people has died, right? One of them died.
Yeah, one of them died, and 6 complications.
The other 5 very serious complications. Out of 7 million, I'm reiterating, Dave, out of 7 million doses.
That's what they're saying.
That seems kind of odd.
Yeah.
It'd be like shutting down a whole country for a small number.
Yeah, it almost would be like that.
Something like
if
that.
If only we had something to scale this and put it in context.
Right, no, that's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah,
I want to be clear.
Absolutely.
I fully agree with that.
By the way, this is the issue. This is not an unreasonable stance for people to. What has been my stance? Everyone's stance here on the vaccinations. Okay? I've said, look, I think the vaccinations they make sense for someone who's old. For example, I have a 97-year-old grandma right now with a lung issue. I think it makes sense for her. I think it makes sense for people where they're old, they're immunocompromised. We've talked about this. Yeah. And then I think with younger people, there's a risk-reward ratio. You have to weigh the pros, the benefits, and the cons. I don't think that makes anyone here Jenny McCarthy.
But I do have a lovely set.
Yes, you do have a lovely set.
Boy, she's an idiot. Can you imagine hanging out with her, Jim Carrey, and her goofball kid at a dinner just like this?
Always.
So over the past month, by the way, the AstraZeneca vaccine, this was it had been halted or limited in over a dozen countries because of what they listed as blood clots. March 22nd, European regulators were notified of 86 cases, 18 of which were fatal. British health officials claim the risk of clotting outweighs the vaccine benefits only for people under 30. Now, AstraZeneca isn't currently authorized in the United States. Johnson & Johnson is a similar mechanism of action, not exactly the same. You have Moderna and Pfizer, and then you have Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca. Johnson & Johnson was nicknamed the Biden vaccine.
Ah.
Yes. It didn't have to be refrigerated. And I'm not blaming Joe Biden for any of this, but it's fun to toss that in there.
On his watch.
So here's the main issue that I have. Not just the blood clots, and that's sad and it's horrible. Yeah. Okay? The issue is that despite valid scientific research and multiple international organizations saying, hey, these benefits don't outweigh the cons, not to mention a doctor who even worked at Pfizer, media platforms have been removing any and all content that allege complications with the COVID vaccine. Let me give you some examples. YouTube removed over 800,000 videos for COVID misinformation. 30,000 of them were exclusively about vaccines. YouTube specifically bans videos claiming that vaccines might kill people, and Facebook bans any claims, they did at least up until yesterday, banned the claims as policy that the vaccine could cause blood clots. So here's my issue. 2-3 days ago, you could have been a doctor from maybe one of these governing boards in one of these European countries saying, hey, this vaccine is not entirely safe and it may cause blood clots, and you would have been removed from YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, the town square. This is where we have to acknowledge that this isn't, when people say it's a private corporation, they all decide in unison, en masse, to remove people who have valid concerns. So when people say, hey, how much is a life worth because I'm not wearing a mask into a Quick Trip, never racetrack, only Quick Trip, these people don't care. Well, okay, how much are the lives worth where you silenced every single person who just said, hey, you know what? Maybe the vaccine isn't worth it if you're under 30.
Yeah.
Maybe something that is I'm just saying you need to weigh the pros and cons. There are people where it makes absolute sense for. This is crazy.
Yeah. Well, and they're trying to get rid of vaccine hesitancy, right? They want people to get vaccinated. So, okay, well, then get rid of Kamala Harris when she said she wouldn't get the vaccine if it was developed under Donald Trump.
Right.
Play by the same rules.
Or
You
just
guys
get
don't
rid of
care.
her.
Well, look, if you want to go out there and be crazy and say vaccines are the worst thing on the planet, not about COVID, but other vaccines in general, fine. You know, I feel like people should have the freedom to say
Exactly.
You have to be able to back it up, though, for me to believe it. People
are going to take something with a kernel of truth and spin it into a conspiracy. Yeah. That's been going on since the beginning of time. So if you have someone who says, oh, there were 80-something cases of complications in Europe with the vaccine, therefore that means that George Soros is microchipping everyone and it happens to have the barcode 666, you go, okay, well, I'll take that with I'll take it with a salt bar for a horse or a Clydesdale, right? You have to allow for that so that at least people can get access to information. Right now, YouTube, Facebook are cut people off from doctors and life-saving information. Look behind you. That's the Orwellian dystopia. And I really want to know, people, comment. If you're a liberal, if you're someone who sees yourself as a leftist or as a cloud liberal, please tell me there are some liberals out there who at least understand the problem with this. You're not just going, yep, mandatory COVID vaccine passports. I mean, if this hadn't come out, and by the way, you know there's something beneath this surface.
Yeah.
There's got to be more here because they absolutely this will be a disaster. They tried to skim along it as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
They wanted no one to question it. COVID passports, don't question it.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, if nothing had come out about this, we would never have heard about it, right? This would have never gotten onto the radar. It just feels like there's a lot more going on, like you said. But the passport thing you brought up, that is a line in the sand.
Yeah.
Like, I will never, ever, 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 ever have a document that says, oh, I've been vaccinated from something, and so therefore I can get on an airplane or go into a business or something like that. Fine, I'll find alternate transportation.
Well,
I'll fly Spirit Air.
What they want to say is,
oh yeah, come on.
Times are tough, Dave.
Well, then if you don't have something, by the time you're done with that flight,
you will.
Yeah, you will. They don't even have seats. It's just everyone's stowage.
You're twerking. Can you fly a plane?
Yeah, it really is just. Honestly, I don't know unless there's a lawsuit that causes a big difference here, and we're doing what we can. It really is. I don't know if there's any turning back from it. Think about this. Do you understand how this started, right? You said get rid of Alex Jones because he's crazy. That's what you guys did. Okay.
Then
you said
right on certain things.
Right. But then you said get rid of these people because they're offensive. They tell offensive jokes. Then you said get rid of that governor because I don't like what he says. Then you said get rid of the president because we want to say that Fight Like Hell was actually calling people to violence. And then you said get rid of doctors, scientists, and anyone who thinks that there might be complications with a vaccine that hasn't been used on a large population of humans in long-term trials yet. And you removed them, and now you have people who've died. Look. Slippery slope. We already said you're at the bottom of the slide. And I just when I was seeing this going on, I'm going, okay, is this going to be something that'll slap some sense into people? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think people are going, oh, it's good. We need to be protected from any information that might upset us. You were wrong. Can you admit that you were wrong? I admitted that I was wrong about Teslas. Can you admit that you were wrong about? At least you can't say about about COVID, about shutting everything down, because they'll say, well, no, it's worth it to save one life. Can you admit that you were wrong to support policies that banned doctors, scientists, and you know what? Even people like us who said, hey, I just think it comes with some risks that people need to be aware of. Can you admit you were wrong? That be removed from the discussion.
Yeah.
If you can't, then let's stop trying to find common ground because these are totalitarian fascist assholes.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.
When you hand someone your logo sticker, you get your brand out into the world, because stickers can travel anywhere. But the last thing you want is to make a bad first impression with a sticker that's hard to use. One common problem is freight.
Fire did not come there right at that moment, and she witnessed.
Truly remarkable. They came back.
Sometimes you have to see to believe. Sometimes waiting isn't an option. When the news is breaking, watch with the newsroom of the Washington Post. We explain what's happening and why it matters. Thank you for choosing to watch the headlines as they're being written with our journalists. You can subscribe with a special offer, an entire year of the Washington Post for $29. Go to WashingtonPost.com/watch. Subscribing through that link lets everyone here, from the front lines to the control room, know that you care about our continued efforts to inform the public, protect the First Amendment, and foster a healthy democracy. We could not do this without you. Welcome to live coverage from the Washington Post. We have breaking news out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, where the jury has reached a verdict in the landmark trial of Derek Chauvin, the former police officer charged in the killing of George Floyd. This is a Washington Post special report. I'm Libby Casey. Well, the court has notified the media that the revealing of the verdict is imminent, and we will bring that to you live. We expect it to be announced within the hour. With me now, Eugene Scott, James Hohmann, and also Mary Beth Albright joining us to talk about the legal aspects of this case. Eugene, let's start with you. Of course, we don't know what the jury has decided, but give us the context of what is on the line this afternoon.
Well, what is on the line is whether or not what we saw on that video for 9 minutes involving Derek Chauvin and George Floyd will be viewed as something that is excessive and unacceptable and not permissible in policing, or if it will be justifiable, and if this will be something that law enforcement will be able to look at and decide that this is something we can put into place if we are afraid, if we feel threatened, if we feel distracted. And so what could happen going forward could have real implications, not just obviously in the Minneapolis Police Department, but what happens going forward in police departments across the country.
And James, you know, this is such a big story nationally, frankly, globally, but it's a very personal story of the family of George Floyd.
Yeah, and for the community of Minneapolis, Libby, this is something that this is their local police, and so many people have put so much on this trial, and for a lot of Americans, they're looking to it as a gauge of whether or not the justice system still works.
All right, James, so let's go through the charges here. There are 3 charges, and the jury could find Derek Chauvin guilty of any of them, all of them, or none of them. Let's talk through the most serious of the charges, James.
Yeah, so the most serious of these charges, Libby, is murder in the 2nd degree, and that requires showing that there was, it's basically, it's called felony murder. If you were injuring, assaulting someone, committing a felony assault, and someone then died, if you were intentionally committing that felony assault, even if you didn't intend to kill someone, that is 2nd degree murder. The less serious charge, still very serious, is 3rd degree murder, and that is a much lower standard relating to what intention is. And then the lowest of the 3 charges is manslaughter, which is that basically the suspect died in his custody because he showed a reckless disregard for his life. Ultimately, you know, if you're a court watcher, it's never a good sign when you have 3 pretty serious charges and thousands of pieces of evidence when the jury comes back, you know, within 24 hours. You know, the longer
not a good sign for whom, James?
For Derek Chauvin,
right.
For Officer Chauvin. You know, it would just, this is typically something where I think, you know, defense lawyers who were looking at it were saying, you know, you would want time to sow reasonable doubt and have, you know, people going through the evidence. Obviously, we don't know the verdict, and we don't want to speculate, but a quick verdict, relatively speaking, when you have these 3 very serious charges and so much evidence, is really quite striking. And in fact, Minneapolis Public Schools were planning to do remote learning Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and not today because the local school system didn't anticipate that they were going to reach a verdict today.
Mary Beth Albright, let's go to you for this process of the jury. So we got no word of jury notes. Oftentimes they can ask questions or try to get clarification from the judge. So talk to us about, you know, that process. And then, you know, Mary Beth, this has been such a waiting moment for all of us, eager to hear the verdict and the decision. But of course, the jury has been hard at work both last night and all day today.
Yes, Libby, when you think about the work that the jury had to do in this span of time, they have to four-person, they have to discuss the charges. It is not a long period of time. I just from talking to people, it's less of a period of time than I think many people expected the jury to be out. And particularly, I think it's interesting that the jury didn't send any questions to the judge. Not good, not bad, just interesting. We don't know anything about where the jury's head is as one body. We don't know anything about what they're thinking. We don't know what their questions are. I mean, that's when the jury sends questions to the judge, it's a good indication of what they're thinking. What their questions are, but it's we haven't had any of that. And I think when I think back to the closing statements and the closing arguments, I think back to that chart that the prosecution put up of the 3 different charges and the grid of the different elements. And you know, I wonder if the jury used that as some sort of a guideline.
Let's bring Keith Alexander into the conversation.
Yo, they said Derek Chauvin got charged with murder.
So, Keith, you know, these 2 charges of murder, 1 charge of manslaughter. How serious are these charges? What is the gravity that these jurors must consider? The jury was sequestered, but let's talk about the national profile of this situation.
Yeah, Libby, and it's so national profile. The White House has just decided that they're canceling a speech that President Biden was supposed to deliver this evening about jobs and his infrastructure plan.
The president, whoa. You know, everybody's so hard up on this verdict. The president had to cancel his speech. They got schools in the area shut down for the day. Everybody home watching the TV trying to figure out what happened. But let's walk up to it.
All of not just the political oxygen, but the kind of the national conversation is so focused on it. Earlier, President Biden said that he thought the evidence was overwhelming. He said he waited to call the Floyd family until after the jury had been sequestered to express sympathy to them. Last year, he actually flew to Houston. He didn't attend George Floyd's funeral because there were some security concerns, but he met with Floyd's daughter, and it was an important part of his campaign pitch in the fall, saying that he would pursue criminal justice and that what happened to George Floyd is wrong and has happened to too many people. So certainly for the White House, this is dominant. It's going to be fascinating to see how he responds to the verdict. I was looking backward today at how George H.W. Bush responded to the Rodney King ruling, and he used very harsh language. In that case, the jury acquitted the officers who had beat Rodney King. And so it's a big leadership test for him. It's a big leadership test on Capitol Hill, where right now, as we're speaking, the House is actually voting on tabling a censure resolution that was introduced by Republicans against Maxine Waters, who flew to Minnesota over the weekend, spoke in Brooklyn Park, where Daunte Wright was killed by police last weekend, and basically said people should fight if there's not a guilty verdict here. Obviously, Judge Cahill was upset about that, but it is a reflection of kind of the how engaged some people, especially on the Democratic side, are by this case, and it's been pretty striking to see Democrats really defend her, not speak out against her. There's going to be a party line vote. They'll vote to table the motion to censure her, but it's a reflection of how much this trial is dominating the conversation at the White House and on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, I ain't like Maxine Waters for a long time. If I ain't mistaken, man, she the one who was hating on Snoop Dogg back in the day, trying to censor rap music and all that shit, man. That was that same old bitch, Maxine Waters. But now, she going over there talking about, y'all should fight if they don't get a guilty verdict. What it is, in the 90s, you trying to stop gangster rap. Now you trying to go out here and tell people to be gangster. Make up your mind, lady. Which one is it? You can't tell people to be gangster and not be gangster at the same time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It would have been crazy if they let that dude off though.
All right, let's go to Joel, who is live outside of the Hennepin County Courthouse. Hannah.
Hi, Libby. I'm here with Amber and Patty, who are two Minneapolis residents who were here the moment that they heard that the verdict came out and are feeling very nervous, they told me. Amber, how are you feeling?
I'm nervous, yes, but hopeful. I'm hopeful.
You were telling how you've lived in Minneapolis for 25 years, and do you feel that today is different? This case is different?
Absolutely. I'm hopeful. I'm nervous. Yeah.
And you were telling me before how emotionally you were feeling about it. How describe that feeling and what it means to Minneapolis and to the country.
It is sickening. I'm very judge deems it appropriate.
Talk to some people from the sources, and particularly prosecutors. What they said to me is this case is going to be a big.
Before he said, I don't need the Hennepin County Government Center to tell me if my life matters. He's been saying
his knee on George Floyd for 9.5 minutes, and that it was this assemblage of people from different walks of life, different races, and fate brought them to this street corner of 38th in Chicago. Similarly, fate has brought these 12 jurors to alternate.
Y'all talking about fate in the news?
Who now have the fate of Derek Chauvin.
Fate.
Rhonda, as James was talking about those jurors, we did hear that there is this white woman who's in her 50s, who's a nurse. We saw her screened by both sides as well as the judge. And one thing that was asked of these jurors was, if you have expertise knowledge, there's a chemist, there's a nurse, can you set aside what you may be thinking and sort of a conclusion that you might come to for what the experts are telling you and the evidence that you're seeing? But of course, they still bring their authentic selves, Rhonda, and their life experiences to their service on this jury.
Yeah, and I remember when Eric Nelson was questioning the nurse about that and asking her, you're not going to be acting as a medical expert, or can you table that? And she said she could, but it is hard for anybody to table their life's experiences, their profession for a few days or a few weeks. And I think we see Judge Cahill soon.
All right, let's go to Judge Cahill now in the courtroom. Thanks so much, Rhonda.
The jury had deliberated.
All rise for the jury.
All rise for the jury.
Please be seated. Jury, I understand you have a verdict.
Hey.
Did you take over a walk
No, I didn't.
Members of the jury, I will now read the verdicts as they will appear in the permanent records of the 4th Judicial District. State of Minnesota, County of Hennepin, District Court, 4th Judicial District. State of Minnesota Plaintiff versus Derek Michael Chauvin, Defendant.
Derek Michael Chauvin about to go to fucking jail, nigga.
27 CR 20-12646. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:44 p.m. Signed, juror 4person, juror number 19. Same caption, verdict count 2. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 2, third-degree murder, perpetrating an eminently dangerous act, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:45 p.m. Signed by jury foreperson, juror number 19. Same caption, verdict count 3. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 3, second-degree manslaughter, culpable negligence, creating an unreasonable risk, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:45 p.m.
Guilty.
Jury foreperson
Guilty.
019. Members of the jury, I'm now going to ask you individually if these are your true and correct verdicts. Please respond yes or no. Juror number 2, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 9, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 19, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 27, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 44, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yeah.
Juror number 52, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 55, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 79, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 85, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 89, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 91, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 92, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Are these your verdicts? So say one, so say you all.
Yes.
Members of the jury, I find that the verdicts as read reflect the will of the jury and will be filed accordingly. I have to thank on behalf of the people of the state of Minnesota for not only jury service, but heavy-duty jury service. What I'm going to ask you to do now is to follow the deputy back into your usual room, and I will join you in a few minutes to answer questions and to advise you further. So, all rise for the jury.
Shit, I shot down my jury duty twice. Only been selected for that shit twice, yeah.
All right, you seated? With the guilty verdicts returned, we're going to have Blakely, you may file a written argument as to Blakely factors within 1 week. The court will issue findings on Blakely factors, the factual findings, 1 week after that. We'll order a PSI immediately, returnable in 4 weeks. And we will also have a briefing on, after you get the PSI, 6 weeks from now, and then 8 weeks from now, we will have sentencing. We'll get you the exact dates in a scheduling order. Is there a motion on behalf of the state?
They would move to have the court revoke the defendant's bail and remand him into custody pending sentencing.
Bail is revoked, bond is discharged, and the defendant is remanded to the custody of the Hennepin County Sheriff. Anything further?
All
right. Thank you.
The breaking news of a verdict that will make an imprint on American history. You're watching a Washington Post special report. Let's recap the verdict and the headlines on the charge of second-degree unintentional murder. The jury found Derek Chauvin guilty. On the charge of third-degree murder, the jury found Derek Chauvin guilty. And on the charge of second-degree manslaughter, the jury found Derek Chauvin guilty. So he is found guilty on all 3 counts. As you heard, he was
I ain't listened to that radio since Soulja Boy came out.
right away.
Now watch me, Superman. That hold on, watch me. Man, you know you. The last time I went to D1 Crib, he had that Soulja Boy poster in his kitchen. Talking about Superman. That hold on, watch me. You. Stop playing. All counts, all 3. But you notice they said 8 weeks until he gets sentencing. That's what I want to know. How much time this nigga gonna get? Man, they gonna give him goddamn 8 to 12 with the possibility of parole after motherfucking 6 or some dumbass shit. I guarantee you, bro. I guarantee you. No, it's 3 counts. He might get like a 15 to 25. They might try to hit him with 15 to 25, and he probably get out after 10 or some shit for good behavior.
Where you can see people
Watch.
gathered outside the courthouse, bracing and cheering on what they see as an act of justice. This case was unique in that what's thought of as the blue wall fell. Members of law enforcement, a person who trained Derek Chauvin, the chief of police of Minneapolis, testified against him and testified against his actions. We did not see the jury. We do not know their names. They are anonymous until the judge decides it is safe to reveal who they are. But these 12 men and women, these 12 Minnesotans, have decided that Derek Chauvin is guilty of murder. As we watch the reaction outside the courthouse, let me bring in my guests, starting with Rhonda Colvin. Rhonda, you have covered this trial from day one, from the jury selection. What's your reaction?
Well, again, history. History is what comes to mind. We have to remember that for an officer to even come to trial over a police misconduct issue, a police killing, police violence, that is not usual in this country. And then on top of that, it's not usual for his bosses and the chief of police to testify against him and say what he did was wrong. And then on top of that, we now have the jury finding him guilty on all 3 counts, doing it swiftly. Again, we left here last night around this time. This is less than 24 hours since the closure of this case that this jury has given 3 guilty verdicts. So this is historical on many measures. It was historical even before this, because I've said it again and again on our coverage that the video that existed that showed this act from multiple angles is not typical. And I've covered police violence for years.
Damn, D1, that's a Soldier Boy poster? Nah. That's my son poster. That ain't my poster. Really? It's all good. When I went to Shaman crib, that nigga had a Backstreet Boys poster in his living room. Backstreet's back, all right. Say I'm lying. Go ahead, say I'm lying. I got pictures, nigga. Got pictures. I ain't take no picture of that Soldier Boy poster D1 had. I should took a picture of that shit for evidence. I'm up at that goddamn Backstreet Boy. Backstreet's back. Should have had a camera. They say Derek Chauvin going to fucking hell, nigga. Take your ass on, nigga. The motherfucking city, all the goddamn lawyers and the mayor and everybody better be happy because hey, nigga about to tear that bitch up. I don't condone looting and rioting, but I understand. You know what I'm saying? No violent behavior do I condone, but I do understand. I really, really do.
Hey, I'm Dave. I've been using Lucy Chewing Park for about a year. I use nicotine to level myself.
The Joe Rogan Experience. Kyle Kalinske sent me something today. I wanted you to see, Jamie. It's there's some shit going down with UFO sightings.
Oh yeah. I've been
before.
What? Yeah.
I don't know if they were new.
Here, I'll send it to you.
I've been following this stuff.
Yeah, it's hold on a second, Jamie. All right, I just texted you. Pentagon officially releases UFO. This is the tweet. It says, new Pentagon formally released 3 mysterious UFO videos captured by Navy pilots. The already leaked videos showed what DoD insists on calling unidentified aerial phenomena, moving at incredible speeds and performing near impossible maneuvers. This is a weird subject because it's one of those subjects where people automatically dismiss it because it's been so touted by kooks. There's so many wacky fucks that have talked about UFOs that anybody talking about UFOs has to be out of their fucking mind. But then when you see these videos and you see them performing these impossible tasks, like these things are moving in a way that we've never seen anything move before. Flipping upside down and sideways, moving at insane rates of speed. Like, they don't know what these are.
Yeah.
Aerial phenomena.
What's interesting is I was reading one of these stories, and they passively mentioned that the sighting was near a U.S. naval technology station of some sort, like a top secret development. And I'm like,
that could be one of two things: either it's developed by the people that are at that base, or they're monitoring the people that are at that base. These aircraft, we call them aircraft, are displaying characteristics that are not currently within the U.S. inventory nor any foreign inventory that we are aware of. Maybe they see the shit that's going down with China and all the ships being moved and like, listen, you fuckheads.
The aliens?
Yeah. Maybe they're like, listen, you fucking morons, you territorial apes.
I'd like to think that, but...
You don't think so?
Manhattan Project, man. I mean, the U.S. has probably got some crazy motherfucking weapons. You know?
Could be, but the Manhattan Project was also, coincidentally, right after they started detonating bombs when the aliens started showing up.
That's what they think, right?
Yeah, well, that was when the bulk of U.S. sightings started jumping. And worldwide, I believe.
Only pay for what you need with Liberty Mutual. I just said that.
Give you a question. Have you ever thought about your blood flow? Redwood uses just a few simple, completely natural ingredients to increase your body's nitric oxide production.
Me too.
You know, maybe we've slowly been getting more and more information about this. I've been actually reading a lot of these stories over the past several months. More missions from government, more release of documents, and more sightings. So there's been a big, I don't want to call it, well, a lot of people murmuring that April was going to be the month when we finally learn the truth. April's almost up.
It's almost up.
It's almost up.
We got like a few days.
Nah, man.
The 27th?
You know what I used...
more days is left.
Do you know...
30.
Do you know about what happened? Do you know about the O'Hare Airport sighting?
Which one's that?
So this was, I think, in like 2006 at Chicago's International O'Hare. A UFO came down and hovered above, I can't remember which terminal it was. It hovered for a few minutes, I think, and then shot straight, punched a hole in the clouds. Everybody saw it happen. Now, I had just quit working at O'Hare around this time when the sighting happened, so I had friends who were still there. I had a friend tell me that when this UFO came down, people on Mannheim Road, which is the road on the side of O'Hare, got out of their cars, like just stopped the light, got up, and were looking and staring at it. And that the people who were working, we worked for American Eagle Airlines, walked out of the rooms and were just staring at it float and then shoot up and punch a hole in the clouds. And you know what they said? Weather phenomenon. So there's a photo of it. A pilot took a photo of it. This is back when very early phone cameras, so it's a very grainy, awful picture.
There it is right there?
That's not it. No, that's super fake. I think, no, these are all people trying to fake it. It's really hard to find. That one is not, that one might be it, but I don't think so. It barely looks like
Chicago
anything.
O'Hare UFO sighting 2006. Is that it right there?
I do not believe those are it, no. So,
Well, click on that article. See what it says, Jeremy.
That one might be on the left, but so many people try exploiting this stuff for clicks and for views, and they make these fake photos. And it was
link's not working.
It was a very, very faint photo from the cockpit. It might be that one right there in the middle. On the left side.
Far left.
It might be that one. No, that's not it. That's not it. Well, there was a really crappy photo of it, and
that might be it.
That might be. It was out of the cockpit of a window. A pilot took a photo, and I wonder where have all the sightings gone since phones became ubiquitous. I mean, this is a simple, I guess excuse. The aliens, they're sentient. They know we have phones. They're like, okay, stop, decloaking or whatever. But I wonder if, why is it there were so many UFOs and around the time cell phone cameras come out, they're gone.
Well, I think most people are full of shit. Yeah, I think most people like to pretend they see things that don't really see things. But I don't think that excludes the possibility. It's not like it's not like these things are mutually exclusive. Like people are full of shit, therefore aliens don't exist. I think aliens can real and people are full of shit. And I think that it's very rare that they visit us. But if they do, how often do scientists go to the Congo to study chimps? I I mean, how many people do they send to the bottom of the ocean to look for new life forms? How rare is it?
Let me chew you out.
Okay.
On that idea. We put decoys up for animals. Animals can't tell the difference. What if you've actually met a decoy person? You couldn't tell the difference.
Maybe it's you, bro.
Maybe it's me. That's right.
And that's why you're able to work so much.
Oh yeah, robot.
You don't get tired.
No.
So you're interested in news and disseminating factual evidence.
Because what we're actually doing is collecting a database for the aliens. No, but I thought about this because I saw a photo on Reddit of a puffin, I think it's called, the bird, and they put up a fake puffin, and it's because I think they're called puffins. It's because the birds don't like nesting in places where they're alone, and so I put a decoy there. The other birds would start coming, and like one bird showed up and was hanging out with the decoy, and I'm like, could you imagine like you see like we put duck decoys in the water. We do duck calls, and duck's like, ooh, hey, fly honey, I'm gonna come over and check this out. And it's like a wood block. Could you imagine like seeing like a beautiful woman or someone you're attracted to and you're like, ooh, look at that. And it's really like an alien decoy just to like probe you and like better understand you or something?
Well, the decoy, just the term decoy is weird because decoys are used for hunting. Like turkey, it's turkey season right now.
Yeah.
And the way most guys hunt for turkeys, they take a rubber turkey. You put that fucker out in the middle of the field and then you hide behind a bush with a shotgun and go and then the turkeys like hear it and they come over and they try to get some pussy and then they get shot.
So what if you see some dude and or it's like you see it for you, it'd probably be a beautiful woman, you want to get a pussy and and then she's going like, hey, come over here, and you're like, oh hey, me, and then
I get eaten.
No, they just take you up in the ship, probe you, and run about your butt.
This is the thing about putting things up your butt.
I'm
Most
kidding,
doctors don't even do that. Like they have MRIs now. Don't aliens need to probe you in your ass? I think it's just what everyone's afraid of. They're afraid of things going in their ass, so that's what they think is going to happen if the aliens get them. They're going to freeze me and touch my ass.
Somebody told a dumb story back in the day, and it was the most sensational version. Everybody had to have it, so they were like, that's what they went with,
Maybe they do that to keep your mouth shut. They fuck you in the ass just so you keep your mouth shut.
Or some dude actually got abducted, right?
Yeah.
And he comes back, and he's like, they think they won against me. They think they beat me. They put stuff with my butt. They're weirdos.
Do you ever hear the story of Betty and Barney Hill?
No.
It's the very first UFO abduction story. It's an ancient story. And what's crazy is Angela Hill, who's a UFC fighter, I had her on the podcast. And after the show, she told me her grandpa was Barney Hill.
Whoa.
And I was like, holy fuck. Like, we didn't talk about it during the show, but she wanted to bring it up because she knows I'm kind of obsessed with UFOs. But the account that they have, they get hypnotized and he's recalling the abduction and they have like the same story. It's very terrifying. You hear him crying and screaming and that he was taken aboard this craft and examined and brought back and they have missing time. But here's the thing. If they only did that occasionally, if they only came down once every few years and just scooped some person up in the middle of some rural place, like if you're flying over, I think their instance was I believe it was in Maine. If you're flying over somewhere like Maine, which is a very low population state, and you see a lone car, and it's just traveling along the highway, and there's places in Maine where you go from like Portland to Bangor. When you're traveling on that road, it's like 60 miles with nothing, not a gas station, nothing. If you were an alien and you saw a car by itself, like no other car, let's move in, we got one.
Isn't it just easier to think it's the U.S. government?
No.
Why not?
Because we don't have the capability of doing something like that. I don't think the capability of the scientists working for the government is any different than the capability of the scientists that are working for, Project X or, fill in the blanks in terms of like what Raytheon, publicly traded companies.
How long? Look, quadcopters don't seem all that complicated to me. Right?
Quadcopters.
Yeah, like
helicopters,
like drones. We've seen the little drone toys you buy. They got 4 propellers. Take that concept, use thinner, jets, and surround it in a disc so that it's, universally like it can move in any direction because it's got, because it's
what power source? Where's the gas tank?
Well, lithium-ion battery. Or,
come on, man. You're talking space shit. Like this hasn't even been invented yet. Think about how little mileage you can get out of a Tesla.
They had
as advanced as Tesla is. Still, when it's going full out, it can only go for. You get 307 miles if you drive like a grandma, but if you drive like a maniac, you don't even get half that.
That they. I could be wrong with this, but I'm pretty sure that they had this flying platform in the 70s that uses gas power, and they've also had jetpacks for a long time.
No, they've had sort of. They've had jetpacks that are capable of going for like 30 seconds. They don't. I've experienced.
No. I'm pretty sure the jetpacks back in the day went for a long time.
No, they definitely didn't.
We can look it up.
Yeah, let's look it up because they definitely didn't. The whole thing was the fact they were burning gas, and to propel you in the air, they only had a certain amount.
I thought it was like 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Maybe now.
My understanding of why we abandoned jetpack technology was that it was inefficient and heavy, and you couldn't carry it without it being turned on. So they opted for larger, what are they called? Chinooks, helicopters that can carry multiple people at once. When you're wearing a jetpack, it has to be on idle, negating its own weight, which means it's burning as you're walking around, which means you get a good 20-minute jump and you got to abandon the tech. And then you don't want your enemies to get it.
Have you ever seen a guy fly a jetpack?
Yeah, there's a video on YouTube.
No, I mean in real life.
Oh, I've seen that one guy, the Iron Man dude.
Well,
Not in real life.
I've been there in real life. My friend Willie B from in Denver on the radio.
Yeah.
He had a radio show in the morning. I used to do his radio show. I think he still has a radio show. Shout out to Willie. And he had this guy who was a jetpack pilot who came in the parking lot of the radio studio, and fans of the radio show came and did it too, and watched it rather. And this guy flew in the air for about 15, 20 seconds and then landed. This guy was so banged up, both of his legs were blown apart. He had big braces on both of his knees. I'm like, what happened to your knees? He's like, just crash landing. Both of my knees were blown to shit. He had no ACLs in either one of his knees. But
that's what I'm saying.
It's good for. This is back then. It was good for about 30 seconds. 30 seconds of flying.
Well, so the point I was trying to get to is if you take something like a quadcopter, you could absolutely fuel it with gas or
It'd be
whatever.
loud as fuck.
But it would depending on how you mitigate
It'd be
the
an
noise.
engine. It'd be an engine.
Yeah.
It'd be loud as fuck.
And you'd hear from the quad rotors.
Yeah, but what these people are describing is nothing like that. These people are describing things that are silent, that go from 0 to 1,000 miles an hour in a split second. The things that defy physics as we understand them. Yeah. This is not something that I think that the U.S. government has. If you look at like Elon Musk company, Project X or SpaceX. SpaceX is right now one of the premier civilian companies, private companies that's making rocket ships. They fuck up all the time. Totally. They're in the middle of innovating all the time. He's one of the smartest people on earth. He's one of in terms of technology, he knows as much about propulsion as anyone, and they still can't get it right. They're still trying to figure it out. They're trying to come up with something that could be viable in terms of commercial space flight, and they're working on it daily. And these people are the brightest minds we know of right now. They're in this jet propulsion space travel business. There's, Virgin's working on something. There's a couple other companies that are working on things as well. And then you have NASA, which the best they could come up with was the space shuttle.
Right.
Do you think that there was something way better than space shuttle they just never used? That they had, and they kept it on the back burner, didn't want to let anybody know, but the way they would use it is they would pick people up and erase their memory and toy with their asshole. That's crazy. Well, that's less likely than the hundreds of billions of galaxies just in our own known universe, right? Each one with hundreds of billions of stars, each star with who knows how many fucking planets. That's somewhere out there there's something more advanced than us. Maybe 1,000 years, maybe 1,000,000 years, but that's figured out how to come here.
I got the same question then. Why hasn't anyone discovered them? Why has SETI failed? Search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
Why haven't the chimps invented guns?
They've started using more tools, but...
Right, why haven't they invented guns though?
I don't know.
So why hasn't SETI found UFOs? It's the same fucking answer. They're not advanced enough yet. It's a real simple answer. The industrial age is pretty fucking recent.
Right.
I mean, you think about when people invented cars, you're talking about 1800. That's really recent.
And we've
plane
only used
flights, 1800s.
High power retransmission is only in the past 100 years or so.
Right. Well, you ever seen the movie Contact?
Maybe. That's old, right?
It's Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey. It's based on Carl Sagan's book about contact with space and with aliens and how it's going to go down.
I think I did see it recently. I can't
Interesting take on it. The signal that we sent out way back, in the day, actually when the first broadcast signal was Hitler games, and that this was the first signal they got. There's a really controversial moment in the movie, or controversy, in the plot, with that once they were trying to decipher the image that was being sent, they realized it was Hitler.
Yeah.
The first thing they see is a swastika, and they're like, what the fuck is this?
They sent it back to us?
And then they had to realize, oh, no, this is the first image that we sent out to space. They wouldn't be able to understand the political or historical context of this. And
well, so I got a few, there's a few issues I see in terms of aliens and Earth contact, right? We are substantially more connected, in an evolutionary chain to ants than are to any alien. So we can't communicate with them for the most part. We kind of can. We understand how they communicate. But when an ant sees a superhighway, this is someone else's quote, they don't think twice. So it's possible there are aliens that have superhighways right above us. We can't tell what it is. Same as a dog doesn't understand other than stay away from it. But one of the issues I think is often neglected in the conversation about aliens is we assume aliens would be on a very similar planet to us. We assume that they would have some kind of gaseous atmosphere, perhaps it's a liquid atmosphere. And one of the things that I would ask of a researcher, because I'm not the expert, is the fact that we have the proper balance of oxygen in the atmosphere to manipulate fire, which allows us to separate elements and then create computers and components and fuels, wouldn't exist on a planet without the same atmosphere we existed in.
Okay, stop. I can answer that really easily.
Yeah.
There's no known propulsion system for any of these crafts. These things are not using fire. They don't have a heat signal. They don't know what they are. They don't know how they work.
I don't mean propulsion. I mean the separation of elements, the manipulation of elements, right? So we melt things and separate them and break them down.
They don't believe that's how it works.
No, but I mean, like, how do you even start from? I'm sure there's an answer. Let's say you have a species that lives on a planet with no oxygen and has no access to fire. What energy, what dense energy source do they have that will allow them to manipulate matter?
Do you know the Bob Lazar story?
I do.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that he talked about when he first stopped working for Area S4 and the government was tapping his phones, and there's a lot that can be documented about him. There's a lot that can't be. But one of the things that he talked about was a thing called element 115.
Right.
That element 115 is this insanely dense element that they use to bend gravity. And that the way he described the way the propulsion system works, it's like putting a bowling ball in the center of a very soft mattress. And that all of the other mattress, all the rest of the mass of the mattress bends around the intense mass of the bowling ball. And that this is how these incredibly advanced aliens from this other planet this is their propulsion system.
That was from Star Trek, though. The concept of warp was around for a really long time.
I think the concept is based on Einstein's theory of gravity. I mean, this is the whole idea. If you could find something that could do that. But here's the thing. When Bob Lazar talked about this in the late 80s, early 90s, this element didn't exist.
Right, now it does.
It wasn't proven until they did it in a particle collider. I believe it was 2013. So he was talking about this element far before it was, and he's apparently, this is the big rumor, he apparently had taken some of that from a lab, and through George Norrie, and was it George Norrie? Yes. They did some experiments on on television and showed that this stuff had made light and fog bend in a way that they couldn't describe.
Didn't he also claim to see a small alien creature on his way out?
He said he saw something that was sitting down, but he doesn't know if it was a model that they were using, like if they created something that was supposed to be the size of a thing that could fit in these crafts, because these crafts, he said, were designed for things that were far smaller than human beings.
I'm pretty sure in the initial interview he gave when he went public was that he saw an alien, and then later on changed it, saying, I don't know if it was maybe a model or a puppet.
Yeah, he said he thought he saw something sitting down and two people standing over it looking at it. He said he thought he saw an alien. But he's probably, I don't know. He said it was literally for like a half a second. Like he's walking by a window and he sees something inside of it. Imagine being a guy who's in your 20s and you're a propulsions expert, and it's been proven that he worked at Los Alamos Labs, and it's proven that he did put a fucking jet engine. It's been proven that he did put a jet engine on a Honda. He's a genius. And you talk to him, he's an incredibly smart guy. Now imagine you get sent off to Area S4, and they show you this thing that doesn't even exist, and they talk about this propulsion method that they don't understand, and they say that they found this a long time ago in an archaeological dig. and they want you to back engineer it because you're a propulsions expert, and they're running out of options. They've been studying this for decades. No one knows what the fuck it is or how you can make it work. And then they do test flights, this thing. And then he tells his friends about these test flights. After he gets fired, you know how he got fired? Do you know a story about him getting fired?
He leaked it or something. Yeah.
No, his wife was fucking her flight instructor.
Oh.
And so when his wife was fucking her flight instructor, they told him he couldn't work anymore. And he's like, why not? Well, they were tapping his phone because when you have top secret clearance to work on UFOs, I guess they don't want your wife fucking her flight instructor, because then you're gonna go crazy,
right.
and you have a lot of imbalance at home, right? So he doesn't know why. They don't tell him why. So he takes his friends and he tells them, listen, this is real. They're running these experiments. I know you think I'm crazy. This is what I've been working on. So he takes them to this area where you used to be able to have access to, but once he did this, they closed off access and pushed it far back to where the public has access to. And he showed them these things doing these impossible maneuvers in the desert, in the night sky.
This I remember.
And so then he gets arrested. And so when he gets arrested, he was in fear of his own life. He goes public and tells this whole story, and then they erase his past, they erase his social security number, they erase his education background. Even though people that knew him and knew he worked at Los Alamos Labs, he takes George Noory of a tour of Los Alamos Labs, knows the people that work there. They all say hi to him. He takes them on a tour around the laboratory.
Yeah.
Shows them around, shows them the devices they use for biometric security. And
I think the one thing you can't ignore is that there was documentation that he did work at one of these places.
Yes.
And they later claimed he didn't.
Yes.
And like I think I was watching the thing on, maybe it was Netflix. I think like he promoted it, right? It was on Netflix. They showed the paper like we found it.
Yes.
Like he clearly was there.
He was in the employee registry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No.
But you know, for me, you know, man, I'd love to believe it all.
He's been insanely consistent about that story.
Yeah.
For 40 years.
I want to believe. You know what I mean?
Or 30 years. I want to believe too. That's the problem.
Man, picture didn't happen.
I want to believe.
Yo, yo.
And then what's up?
Not a whole lot.
You on air?
Yeah. I be painting a lot, man. I be painting a lot.
All right, I'll call you later.
All right.
That's nonsense. Sure, it didn't happen is nonsense.
Well,
how do you what about Neanderthals?
No, that's
what about dinosaurs? There's no pics.
I'm more so joking, right? What I mean is, show me the evidence, right?
I get it.
Let's, you know, the challenge with any theory, I don't like saying conspiracy theory because they're not always conspiracies, is that people want something to be true. And so they end up looking for things to justify what they think it already is.
Of course.
Instead of starting with what you've got and trying to figure out where it goes from there.
But when you start with what you've got a guy who was living in Vegas, was taking these flights out to Area S4, knows the place, knows it inside out, can describe it very accurately. Also worked at Los Alamos Labs, describes that very accurately.
Right.
Yeah.
It proves he worked there.
Yeah. And also proves he's also a legitimate scientist.
But what
when you talk to the guy, he's a brilliant guy. He's not a nut.
Right.
But what?
Are you saying aliens?
That doesn't mean aliens.
No, I'm just asking, like, so...
It doesn't mean aliens, but that's what he was told.
Right.
What he was told is, this is something that has come from somewhere else, and they're trying to figure out how to work it, how to use it.
What if we're in a simulation, and this was something that was leftover code, or it, you know, wasn't supposed to be placed in this certain iteration?
Or what if there's multiple dimensions that we don't have access to, and that these things do?
Well, that got deep. What if we're in a simulation and whatever they found was just some leftover code that wasn't supposed to be in this iteration of the program? But then, like he said too, they found it on an archaeological dig. It's something that's way more advanced than we can understand, except it's old as fuck. It's old as shit and advanced at the same time. And no one can figure out what the fuck the shit was. And then like they said last year, the Pentagon had to put out the simple fact that yes, some naval pilots have captured Unexplained aerial phenomenon. I don't know. I used to want to think aliens were real here and present. But I'm like the other dude now. I mean, yeah, Bob Lazar is pretty convincing, but, you know, I ain't never been abducted by no damn aliens. Yeah, I mean, I believe that the possibility for other life forms is definitely very plausible, but just not here on Earth.
Let me ask you a quick question. Quick Snapple fact. How many of y'all have bought an entire bottle of...
The Joe Rogan experience. You know, my favorite, I don't want to call it a conspiracy theory, but one of my favorite stories is humanity emerged on Venus and that we destroyed the planet with a greenhouse effect. So we created the Ark Project and took the DNA of 2 of every animal and loaded up on the last vessel, the Ark, and went to terraform Earth.
That's the dumbest idea ever.
It's hilarious,
The
though.
DNA of 2 of each animal, and then how many copies of those things do you make before they eat each other?
They got anti-grav tech. They just started seeding the planet, and what people do. Again, I'm not saying I think it's a fun story. They argue that the Bible was like the stories being told and retranslated over hundreds of years to a lost civilization that had only one ship escape the destruction of their planet. And I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying it's a fun story. I love that story.
Yeah, it's fun. It would be a fun sci-fi movie.
And then you end up with lost tech being discovered.
Well, you have
thousands of
people
years
like
on.
Elon that say we have to get off of Earth. You know, there's so many people that say we have to escape Earth. We have to sort of colonize the solar system or colonize the galaxy.
I agree, and I think if we don't discover a better propulsion than hard chemical energy, we're not going to do it. So
yeah, well, that's why this is so compelling. This idea that they're using some element that apparently is impossible to find here. You can only create it with a particle collider, but maybe in whatever solar system they are coming from, you have a very different environment, and maybe this element was the primary source for fuel. Maybe they figured that out a long time ago.
I wonder if I'd love to talk to an actual physicist about this. Is there something with negative density?
What's that mean?
So, like, you know, things with density create an attraction through gravity because the pressure, their influence on space-time. I'm not an astrophysicist, so I can't explain it to you perfectly, but, you know, the larger, the more dense the object, the more pull it has. You know, so like a very dense black hole, for instance, sucks you in. Then, you know, Mars has slightly less gravity than us because it's less dense. I wonder if there's something, again, there's probably, I'm sure there's some scientists laughing right now. What a moron. But negative density, something that would actually have a push effect in terms of gravity. In which case, you could have some kind of object where you can control and expand and contract density so that you're pushing and pulling.
I don't know. Bob Lazar's perspective is if we showed a nuclear reactor to a civilization from the 1400s, they would think we were doing witchcraft.
The Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, they would think it is absolutely the craziest thing that anyone has ever seen or heard. They would try to tamper with it. They'd all get radiation poisoning and die. They'd never be able to figure it out in a million years. If you just left it with them, if you left some sort of a nuclear reactor with them. And he said this is really how far advanced he believes these these aliens or whatever you want to call them are, that their science, their technology is indistinguishable from magic because they're so far ahead of us.
Do you think they'd want to be involved with us beyond
Of course
just
they
testing
would.
us, though?
Why wouldn't you? We study butterflies. We study mice. We study bugs on the other side of the planet. We send people on scientific journeys to go and look at frogs that they're not even sure are real anymore.
Are we giving guns to chimps? Are we building forts for them and teaching them to use stone? And I mean, we've seen now. There's more videos coming out showing. I can't remember which primate species, but using more tools.
Yeah, well, they
spear
believe
hunting
that
and stuff.
They believe that primates, chimps, have entered the Stone Age.
Yeah,
that they're using them on a regular basis.
Are we going to go and teach them agriculture? I mean, do we care?
Dude, we teach chimps things all the time. We teach chimps how. Yeah, but
environments
because that's the only way you get studied.
Yeah.
We teach. I mean, if they had a civilization you can go to, you knew they lived in an apartment, and you could study them that way. But you don't think that they would study if they found a planet. Like, let's imagine if we found a planet. Okay, we found a planet, and it's all just filled with octopus, and these octopus are changing colors and just jacking fish and eating lobsters. We would be fascinated.
Totally.
We'd be fascinated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, all innovation happens because people are trying to improve on initial designs. Now, why do they try to improve on initial designs? They try to make things that are better, make things that are more efficient, make things that can do tasks that they can't do without these tools, and then their curiosity and their creativity causes them to expand upon these ideas. Well, of course, if something's going to be so far advanced that they didn't accept their current place in the universe, they don't even accept the fact they want to stay on this planet. They want to travel to other places. Do you know how fucking insanely curious you'd have to be to lock you and 3 of your other 3-foot buddies in a giant fucking flying saucer and propel yourself through space?
Oh yeah.
You would have to be incredibly curious and incredibly not just curious but innovative. They would have to be thinking about things. They would have to be exploring things, and of course you would want to come to a planet that is filled with people who have hundreds of different languages. They're all full of shit. They lie to each other constantly, send videos through the air. They have weapons that they could blow each other up with.
Yeah.
I mean, of course you would be fascinated by that. I think that's the least compelling argument that anybody ever says. Why would they mess with us? Why would they care about us? Of course they would care about us. We are fucking interesting, man.
Well, I'll put it this way. I think if we saw like a group of chimps standing near a waterbed, and then one chimp fashions some kind of bag and pulls it over its head, jumps in the water, and tries to go as low as he can for as long as he can, but before coming out, we would look at that like, that is the stupidest attempt at scuba diving I've ever seen, but oh my god, a chimp just tried to scuba dive. So there are aliens, and they're in these amazing technologically advanced ships that can jump light speed, manipulate gravity. They just watched us strap ourselves to an explosive and fire us off of our atmosphere where we're likely to die, and they're like, this is the stupidest attempt at actually going to space. These guys are trying to go to space.
No, I wouldn't think about it that way at all. I would think about, look, there's a fucking space station. It's there, and people live on it. They shoot themselves. They have a very crude form of propulsion,
right?
But they've figured it out because they don't have element 115 in their environment naturally. So these dummies have to light things on fire and use a push off the back of it to shove themselves through normal air.
And you know why they're not going to give us that tech right now?
Why would they give us tech? Why say give us tech?
Why they wouldn't? I'm saying.
Well, why would they give us tech? Why would any? That's the weirdest argument ever, that they're giving us things. I don't think they're giving us shit.
No, I don't think so either. I think they're specifically not doing it, and they wouldn't do it even if we wanted them to. I think it's an inverse. People. I mean, a lot of people talk about how they're like sharing technology with us or something, right? You see that stuff in the
I've heard those conspiracies.
The reason they won't is because we're territorial. We fight each other.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So look, if they came down and went to Russia and said, here's anti-grav propulsion, what do you think Russia's going to do? All right, our planet now. They're going to immediately expand rapidly. Their population is going to grow exponentially, and it's going to cause massive turmoil between nuclear powers, which could destroy themselves.
Yeah, for sure. So they can use it as a weapon.
The smartest thing is to not share at all until we're a one-world, society.
Well, also, like, look at what they look like. What do aliens look like? If you look at the iconic shape of an alien, they have giant heads and genderless bodies. Like, maybe that's the key to stopping war. You
there's the
Nords. No incentive whatsoever for people to be sexual or attractive. Everybody looks exactly the same. We get over this idea of biological mating. They reproduce through genetic engineering.
Why not just be robots?
Well, maybe they are like robots.
Yeah,
maybe that is like a robot. Maybe
artificial bodies where you know, have you seen Altered Carbon?
I haven't, but I keep hearing good things about it.
I just finished season 2, season 1 was awesome, but basically they have a thing called a stack.
You said you finished season 2, season 1 is awesome. That means season 2 sucks?
Season 2 is a C+.
Oh.
Season 1's like an A+.
C+.
Yeah. Like, it's fun. But they have a thing called a stack in the base of in their spinal column right below their head that stores their consciousness, and they call their bodies sleeves. And they kind of don't care when they die because they just get, you know, it's if you're poor, you get really crappy sleeves, right? But if you're rich, you get premium access, military upgrade, like high tech, very strong. But their bodies just become separate. And you can also transport your consciousness interstellar, like to other planets. And then you wake up in a body on a different planet. That's how you go places now.
Oh.
Your consciousness travels. So yeah, I mean, maybe aliens do that. Maybe there's not. You know, I find the idea of the various alien like bodies curious. One of the things I've read about is that it could be humans from the future.
Yeah, I've read that too. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You think about what we look like as opposed to like what a chimp looks like.
Yeah.
And then you keep going further with that, like, oh, the head will get bigger, the bodies is weaker.
Yep.
And then look, there's a sort of a trend in this society today to be less masculine, less feminine, more gender neutral.
Yeah.
Well, so they them pronouns. Maybe that's all just part of the programming.
This falls into another one of these conspiracy theories that the goal of globalists is that in order to get access to alien tech, we have to be a unified planet. Aliens aren't going to give aliens.
Really, you've heard that one?
Oh yeah, it's all over the internet.
That's why they're doing this.
So
they're going with a one world order in order to get alien tech.
Do you think the Galactic Federation is gonna let a planet in which has got numerous governing bodies and nuclear weapons?
I don't think there's a Galactic Federation.
I'm just kidding, right? The point I'm making is there are people online who believe this. They believe that if there is some kind of Galactic Federation, or at least some kind of recognizable, you know, different cultures that have some kind of set rule base,
right?
Who do they negotiate with? Us, Russia, or China? And so the argument, well, one of the theories is that interests on the United States who have access to the aliens know that they have to do everything in their power to unify the entire planet under one authority so that we can be entered into whatever alien, you know, access would exist. But so long as we are nuclear-powered competing territorial factions, they can't do it.
Well, that makes sense if that was the case.
But you add in what you were saying about masculinity and gender, and one of the things that I find interesting is that when it comes to the argument about removing masculinity, there's kind of overlap with this idea of domestication. You think about wolves, proto-dogs, and dogs. Dogs are effectively wolf cubs perpetually. So wolves are aggressive, territorial, independent. I mean independent in the sense of like you're not going to tame them. They're like
you don't teach wolves. Yeah.
Yeah,
they're
like
not willing to listen to you.
They're. I mean, you can, but it's like it's barely. They agree with you or they don't. You're following. You know. So an adult, masculine, tough human is going to be like, I'm independent. I'm in charge. They've got to remove that and domesticate us. So you get a bunch of weak, effeminate, genderless humans who are going to be passive, docile, and agreeable.
Yeah, like dogs.
Right.
Yeah, I do. I have a whole bit about what wolves are and what dogs are.
Yeah.
And what men used to be.
Right.
And what men are now.
Dude, I was thinking of this really cool idea for a sci-fi film where aliens come to Earth and most humanity accepts domestication. And then 300, 400 years from now, you've got regular-looking 21st century kind of men and women, but then you have these 5-foot-tall, super armored jetpack with plasma rifles that love and serve the aliens, and we view them as freakish genetic defects. Well, have you seen like Oblivion with Tom Cruise?
Yes.
The aliens basically genetically engineered a whole bunch of Tom Cruises. I was thinking of that kind of idea, but also with domestication.
That's an underrated movie, by the way.
That's cool. I love it. Yeah.
Very good movie.
If aliens came to Earth and most humans agreed, and then over time the humans that got access to life-saving technology, special armor, were the ones that were agreeable and less likely to be aggressive.
Yeah, it would bitch out just like the wolves bitched out and became a poodle.
And then you'd have wolves. Mm-hmm. So I thought of a cool idea for a story. You basically have humans like raiding a chicken coop, and the aliens are like, and they call their attack humans, who jump out with like armor and crazy future tech from the aliens, but they're like these small dog-like versions of humans, you know, like desperately in love with the aliens, you know, just like crying in love.
Dogs are, yeah.
The wolves aren't like that.
But I wonder if the people would eat those dog-like people the way wolves eat dogs.
Well, for the sake of a fiction No, we wouldn't have them do that. But
And what would coyotes be? Coyotes would be like this sneaky, smaller.
But our coyotes aren't the product of domestication. I mean, they're just a separate canine breed, I guess, or species.
Right. But I'm saying like they really never got domesticated.
Yeah.
That's what's interesting. It's like they're.
I mean,
is there a coyote version of humans?
Yeah, the North Sentinel Island, right? You know what North Sentinel is?
Yes.
Yeah, the people who've never had contact with other humans.
Well, they had several bad experiences with other people.
Firing arrows at helicopters and stuff.
Well, that's why they killed that guy. They killed
the missionary.
They killed the missionary because they were invaded in the 1800s by a guy named Maurice Vidal Portman, who was a pervert / explorer. Who would measure dicks and take detailed descriptions of people's anatomy and genitals.
Wow. I mean, was it for legitimate research purposes?
No, it's a fucking wacko. Just find people and run tests on them.
Yeah.
But that would be what we're worried about with aliens too, right?
What coming here and being
maybe
creepy
that's why people are worried about them touching their asshole.
Well,
it's only the pervert aliens.
Somebody posted this tweet. They said something about like you need to realize aliens who would come to Earth aren't the cool nerds who want to like talk science. It's the rich assholes who rat fuck their planet and are dipping out.
That's a silly way to look at it.
Well,
that's
I mean,
us.
it's a possibility.
I understand, but that's us.
Right.
We always want to look at things through like a human-centric filter.
Exactly.
But if they're genderless things from the future, like what benefit would it be to get richer? You know, they're giant heads and they can travel the speed of light. Like
this is why I really don't like. I think it's Hawking's argument that we shouldn't be excited about aliens because whenever a more powerful civilization approaches a weaker one, they dominate it and enslave.
Yeah.
I don't buy that for 2 seconds in terms of aliens coming to Earth. That makes no sense.
What?
So the argument.
You don't buy what?
Hawking's argument.
Oh, you don't?
That if aliens came to Earth, they would enslave us to steal our resources?
Well, I don't necessarily think they would enslave us to steal our resources, but if we were aware of them, they would become space heavy.
Well, what he's saying is like, you know, when the Europeans came to North America and spread disease and then stole land and started wiping everybody out. Like
Yes.
when a more advanced civilization meets a, you know, I don't think aliens would do that at all. It's like,
why not?
The way I would view the most devastating approach would be more like a gigantic vessel coming down and just slicing a skyscraper in half and stripping out all the copper and elements while ignoring people. You know, when we go to a habitat for animals, we're not going to like, haha, we'll kill all the squirrels. We're like, we're taking the lumber. Squirrels be damned. So we go into habitats where other creatures live, take what we want, and we don't care about the animals. You know, when we farm, we kill all the mice and all the little critters in there. We don't care. So I don't think the argument makes sense that a more advanced civilization would come to Earth and be like, haha, humans, now you will serve us, and it's our land now. They would completely ignore and just start taking stuff and crushing us and ignoring us. It wouldn't be. But I don't think that's the most likely scenario either. I think any race sufficiently advanced enough to travel the massive size of the universe would have little need for the primitive elements on our planet. And it would actually be substantially easier for them to go to any other empty rock.
No, it's not true. We have
You
no
don't think so?
idea. No, we have no idea what they need. Like, this might be an incredibly rare place. Like, it's incredibly rare as far as everything we've been able to observe. They might come here because they found this Goldilocks planet that has liquid water and incredible biodiversity and more life than any other place on Earth or any other place in the solar system.
You know
or in the known galaxy.
You know the Eris planet theory, right?
What is that?
That's there's an elliptical orbit for a planet that every 300 years comes in close orbit to Earth because it's elliptical around our sun.
Yeah, it's planet Nibiru.
Nibiru, that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah.
And they used human slave labor for mining gold.
Yes, that's all Zecharia Sitchin.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what Zecharia Sitchin is?
I've heard the name. I've read the stuff.
He
online.
wrote a book called The 12th Planet that's a fascinating take on the ancient Sumerian texts. And he's widely been criticized by other scholars who understand ancient Sumerian.
Yeah.
And there's actually a website called Sitchin is Wrong. See if you can go to it, sitchiniswrong.com, because all the whack jobs like me who love the idea of, you know, oh, that's why we're so into gold, man.
Right.
It's because the aliens use these suspended gold particles in their atmosphere, to protect the atmosphere from deterioration by their, you know, industrial use of chemicals and toxins has destroyed their environment. So sitchiniswrong.com is an interesting website, and I don't know who's right or who's wrong. And I think if you want to go over the Anunnaki and the ancient, what's really interesting, and not just about Sitchin, but about Sumer in general is, one thing is, they had these tablets, these clay tablets that had a depiction of the galaxy, or the depiction of the solar system. Now you're talking about 6,000 BC. They have this depiction of the solar system that shows the sun in the center, and it shows all of the planets in our known galaxy, or our known solar system, with the proper perspective in terms of the size of the planet and the proper distance. Like, they're in the right places. It's not like there's a big one really close to the sun, and there's a little one 3 planets out. Like, see if you can find that. It's a weird image. See, that's the image.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The take that Zecharia Sitchin had was that they were trying to tell us that they have come from this other planet, and they were trying to explain to us what our solar system is. But just the fact that they have this sun in the center, and then they have all the planets that we know of circling this sun. And this has been criticized, like, oh no, they didn't do it right, they didn't do it. First of all, they did it in clay, okay? So relax. It's so goddamn close that you would have to say, man, that might be what that is. And if that is what that is, what are they trying to say with this thing? Because there's also an image from a clay tablet of a very large being that has a very small human-like being with a monkey tail on its lap. And this is what Sitchin points to as some sort of a depiction of the genetic engineering that took place to turn primitive primates into human beings. This is the reason why we are so different from every other animal on this planet. And the real thing that when people talk about aliens and alien, like, what would aliens be doing here? Why would they do? What if human beings are the product of accelerated evolution? Like, what if they came down here, they found this incredibly rich planet that's filled with biodiversity and all these different life forms, and then they found these primates. And like, oh, well, we know where these fuckers are going. Like, this is us 10 billion years ago, or whatever the fuck it is. Let's accelerate this little party. Let's inject some of our super advanced DNA into these primates, and let's see where it takes itself.
So what do you think? You think, yeah?
That's a fun story.
Right.
That's the story that they told Bob Lazar. But Bob Lazar said, I don't know if they told me that to throw us off the trail, if it's disinformation, or if it's just some wacky thing that they came up with to like have a crazy story that the scientists couldn't tell anybody. So if you do tell people, like, what are you working on? I'm working on reverse engineering a propulsion system from an aircraft that came from another planet. And by the way, we are a product of accelerated evolution. They came to us and they injected our